First it was the cladding, now it's the doors. Police say Grenfell had faulty safety inside the tower as well as out. Its doors were not sufficiently resistant to fire. Did anyone have a chance at Grenfell?
Well, it's obvious that 71 people never made it out. There were a number that were lucky, like myself, but it's shocking to know that we've been living in that block with inadequate fire doors, inadequate cladding on the outside of the building.
The quality and fitting of a door can be the difference between life and death. In a fire, every second counts. In this test scenario, the door on the left is less resistant to the one on the right. The Metropolitan Police did similar tests to the doors at Grenfell. They showed they only resisted fire for just 15 minutes instead of 30. Natasha Elcock was trapped on the wrong side of these doors for 5 hours on the 11th floor at Grenfell.
It just highlights the inadequacies that were in the tower block, and the fire safety hasn't been taken seriously over a number of years.
If a product only gives you half the time it's supposed to give you to evacuate a building, then that is concerning.
The government has ordered more tests, but insists there's no evidence the faulty doors are widespread.
The expert panel has advised that the risks to the public's safety remain low. There is no change to fire safety advice that the public should follow. I, nevertheless, fully appreciate that this news will be troubling for many people, not least all those affected by the Grenfell tragedy.
Sergeant Jarvis says it's no systemic failure, but something has definitely failed. How do people know whether or not the fire doors in their building will actually keep them safe unless they're tested? There's clearly a massive failure, whether this is in quality control or whether it's in regulation. We don't know yet, but sitting on your hands is not an answer, and saying that there's not an issue is not an answer, because there are people very frightened out there.
ITV News has reported on fire safety issues on council blocks close to Grenfell. In January, we visited Kensal House, and the doors here concerned fire safety expert Stephen Mackenzie. How dangerous is this door?
It is, it's defective.
And today's police announcement only adds to his concerns. The advice was to stay in flats at Grenfell.
Yes.
Do you think a defective fire door would have made things worse for them?
I can't say for absolutes, but we can say it will have made a contribution.
Do you think there are other faulty doors in other blocks elsewhere?
Yes, definitely. I've never actually signed off even a new building without considerable fire defects, and as a building degrades throughout its life cycle, the potential for additional defects to creep in is exponential.
But for many tonight, the basic question of, is my home safe? There is no definitive answer.
So, yeah, Rags, a lot of people are going to be asking that question. What more do we know about the safety of other blocks in Kensington?
Well, it's important to remember these were tests on Grenfell doors on just 3 doors, and Kensington and Chelsea Council say the results are inconclusive. But they did give us this statement. They say, we understand this news will be of particular concern to residents in this borough, which is why we're urging the government to move as quickly as we can to clarify the situation. But the government really isn't doing that much to clarify any situation. After the Grenfell tragedy, it said lessons must be learnt. But as we keep reporting on this programme, there are hundreds of buildings with flammable cladding still on them. And the question about fire doors not being safe, the government seems to be sitting on its hands about that. And we've already had, the biggest fire tragedy since the Second World War. So a lot of people still very concerned that not much is being done at all.
Right, indeed. Rags Martel, thank you.